make whatever product that they're making, or maybe stack whatever product that they have out for physical called WEP, WEP, at the lower, not a lower place, but more of a place that doesn't, it has old technology and it needs older technology to in order for it to speak. And so having that secure baseline will allow you to look at every aspect of what you got secure appliance wise, and then say, hey, okay, we're going to apply these processes and rules to it in order to make sure that we're secure as possible while using these products. So some things that we want to look at when it comes to configurations, not just on computers, switches and routers, but it could be computers, phones, things of that nature too. You hear me say all the time, we want to change the default credentials. I'm pretty sure that that's going to show up on this CompTIA Security Plus, that if it's a default credential, let's go ahead and change it, and then change it to something that you can remember, or let's use that password manager that we've been talking about in order to change those default credentials. Disable any unnecessary service. So this is going into the switches and routers stage. So on your switch, you will have 24 ports, and they kind of look like telephone ports, right? Telephone cord ports that you can just, it has that little weird shape to it. All of those are defaulted to be active. So if you plug something into it, it should give you connectivity. Matter of fact, if you look at your modem that's at your house, you turn it around to the back, it should have that telephone looking RJ45 port. Those things are hot automatically out of the box. It would be in your best interest to go into the configurations and disable those ports. But a lot of times it's a 50-50 chance. I would say that they might be on, they might not be on. And that's typically off of someone actually disabling that feature and turning them off. But we want to turn them off and turn them on whenever we need them. We want to make sure that we use secure management protocols. So this is SSH, SSH, or IPsec when it comes to via remote desktop or through the internet via VPN. We want to use access control lists. So ACLs, I haven't really touched on it too much, but ACLs is a list of who's invited to use this service, right? And that's how you want to look at every ACL, no matter if it's network or if it's system based. So they can be two different types of ACLs. You can see one that's on your computer where we allow these applications to be on your computer. That's an allow ACL list. And you also have a ACL list that's on a network where we are allowing these IPs to connect to our network and actually communicate. If you have these lists, then it's easier to understand who can get in versus letting everybody in and then you kicking out people who don't need to be there, right? So having these lists is critical in order to, one, kind of get a grasp on your network and know who's in it, and then versus just letting it be the wild wild west and letting everybody roam around. Again, if I have any kind of network issues, you guys please just stop me, and I'll try to work on that. We having storms in South Carolina right now. Along with the configurations, we also want to talk about strong pass. Last thing that they got here is the physical secure of the equipment. So making sure they're behind locked doors. One thing that I haven't brought up is that if you have laptops that necessarily don't need to go home, but they need to stay on a desk, then we want to make sure that we have those locking cables that can hook up to a laptop, and you can wrap it around hook up to a laptop, and you can wrap it around a desk leg or something like that to keep it within the building. Just having this physical secure, having things physically secured will give you an extra layer of defense versus someone actually routing into something and actually taking control of it. Just a side note here is that it takes a very skilled individual to actually uh, log into a computer from their house and then log into your computer from your house that's on totally different networks in a totally different state and not be found out, and then take information from there. That's an incredible skilled person. And then so with that being said, it doesn't happen often. And in order to really do it, you probably need some kind of cheat codes in there. So I need some type of agent that's on your computer or something aiding me that's going to help me out in order to get that information. So it's much easier if I just take the item, or if I can just take the whole switch, take the whole router, and bring it back to the house, plug it up, and then use something to brute force it right then and there, versus me trying to get from my house past my router into the internet. I mean, the service provider's router to your router to it's a lot of work, and it's just easier if I just take it. So just keep those things in mind. Is it can be overlooked sometimes when it comes to the physical, but let's not overlook it.
So that's a possibility. You can do that. You can take control of someone else's desktop through means of wherever you are in your technology.
If so, okay, then why not, right?
I've
Um,
heard
I'm
of it. I've heard
I'm
of it.
technically connected to you right now,
That
right?
is correct, sir. Okay. Okay.
And so how can I do it through just code, like just running commands? No. It's things that's put into your operating system that is things that's put into your operating system that will not allow me to take control of your PC right now. But I do know that there's a way that I can get from South Carolina and you're in Alabama.
Correct.
I can get to those. I can link us up that way, right? So now I just have to think about, okay, if I can't if I can't just naturally get to your computer, what can I do to put on your computer to give me permissions to talk? And
Mhm.
that's where I was saying you need something to aid you, or to give you a little bit more leverage. Can I put a you or to give you a little bit more leverage? Can I put an agent on your computer somehow? That's where I go back to my social engineering, and I say, hey, why don't you, for training purposes, install this piece of software on your PC so you can learn how to um, work into an EDR. And I'm trying to sway you into that. If you install that, then now it allows me to jump so many hurdles that I had to jump, and I got great connection to your computer that way. That's cheating, but at the same time, just trying to think about all the hurdles that you would try to get to just to figure out what's your computer name so I can try to get to it from my house. I might as well just take the other route. You get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying. I thought it was rumors, but I overheard someone tell me once before that there's such and such. It was a significant other that had access to their phones through their phone. It was remarkable, but technology is magical.
We all talk, like, when I showed the example of the Wireshark, all of those entries are just it's just our machines talking back and forth, really. And even if it's just saying, hey, I'm here, hey, I'm here, that's all it's saying. That's all one computer could be saying. That's just letting the other computers know that if I do need to talk to Ryan's computer, then I know that he done shouted out 10 times that he's here. All right, now I need something from you. Here's this document. That's how computers really kind of talk in the background. So just real quick, and so I'm gonna pull up you see all of these applications that I got running, y'all can see this, right? Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
all of these applications, these are running in the background. Um, but they're all talking to something, to someone, and it doesn't have to be directly on my computer or in my house. It could be, I'm not going to say to you guys, but I would say Zoom is probably still talking to you guys. It should be at the top if I do memory. Uh, well, it's in Chrome, so I yeah. Chrome is where I launch Zoom so I can do my desktop share. But this is why it's taking up so much memory on mine because I'm connected to you all. And I would imagine something similar for you guys as well. As you can see, Microsoft eats up a lot of memory too. And I'm really not doing anything with Teams. I don't even know why I got it on here. But basically, what I'm saying is that in the background, while we may be talking to each other over the voice over IP protocol, this is going on in the background, and it's constant. It doesn't matter if I'm doing something or if I'm just kind of, you know, if I'm sending some files. If I was uploading a file to the cloud, all of this would be going crazy, and we probably wouldn't be able to talk over Zoom. But to go from here and make this point, then I'll take it back. To go from this stage, application stage, to get to that same point on your computer is I would say is yeah, it would be remarkable if I could just go through the command line. That'd be awesome. But it won't let you do that just because we're on different networks. So I have to jump over that hurdle doing something else. Good question though. Um, any other question? So default credentials. We want to make sure that we enable logging and monitoring. So this is where we're going into having a SOC. So first day of class, I talked about working in a SOC, Security Operations Center. Dwell in there. They are threat hunters um, by nature or by career. And so what they do is they look at the logs that come in on different appliances. And your computer has logs too. So everything that we're doing is logged down into some type of event book. And whether it's you got your password wrong to get into the system, or you open up a web browser, or you open up control panel and then you close it down, all of these things are being logged into that logbook. And the reason why you want that is that if someone hacks into your system, you want to be able to see when did they get access and then what did they do when they were in your system. So to look at yours, event manager, I'm not too sure where it's in the Apple sense, where the logs are, but I know in the Windows settings, it'll be in what we call the event viewer. And this is where everything is um, logged down. So right here in the security section, it should show, I might be taxing it. It should show how many times that, I logged into the computer. Yep. So all of this blank space should be having some information there, and I should see a bunch of keys up here in this white spot. There it is. I was about to say. So it logs down all this information, and when you're working in a SOC and you come up against an incident, you may have to dig through all of these files just to understand what happened and in what time. Okay, so um, to know if someone's been in your PC or in your appliances is fairly, you should be able to understand that if you look through the logs. Um, if not, if those logs are gone, or a section of it is gone, that's a good indicator that someone has already been in there and then erase their footsteps by taking the logs with them. So just keep those things in mind and understand that if you see a job title working in a SOC, that this is where you're going to probably be living at, is in those logs. And that's just my computer. So you can imagine something like a network router having millions of logs on a daily basis. Um, Going into other configurations and setup when it comes to the network, let's talk about the wireless access points. So, quick question: do you guys understand how Wi-Fi works when it comes to walls and appliances such as microwaves and things of that nature? Like it degrades the signal. Are y'all familiar with that?
Earlier we talked about how microwaves can disrupt things like memory and swipe things from last class, and honestly, that's my understanding of application of everything. The microwave simply disrupt the
Okay.
signal.
All right. Well, in this case, it does the same thing without it being in the microwave. Um, it's just, microwaves take so much energy just to turn on. Um, the Wi-Fi signal is like a radio signal. Now, I know I'm old, and I grew up when we listened to the radio, and we had antennas that we had to point it to the radio tower, and we get a better signal. The Wi-Fi works the same way. And so if you think about it, if well, I hate to ask, but have y'all ever had a radio with an antenna on it that you had to?
I
All right.
did. I did.
Okay. Okay.
Even like the satellites, the
Oh,
little TVs through the antenna. I had that too.
okay. All right. So maneuvering the antenna can get you a better or a clearer picture or a clearer sound of the station. Same thing when it comes to the wireless network or your Wi-Fi, is that if you can get a better signal or a line of sight to that modem, you should have a better strength signal to your devices. So when you think about it, if you have your router tucked away under a cupboard or on the floor somewhere, around a closed room, it's probably not getting the best reception that it can get. You want to have your router or your modem that comes from that your telephone company in the middle, preferably in the middle of the house, away from any walls or anything like that, to get a better broad coverage. And having it around appliances also disrupts that same airwave channel. And so we want to keep those things away from that in order to have better speeds, so we're not creating our own DOS attacks on our own self. So, um, but I know it could be hard if you already have your Wi-Fi modem already set up by the company, and they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to set it up wherever your telephone coax cable comes into the house at. And so, if you can have them move it, I would prefer you move it to a spot that's nice and open, and you should get a better um, connection each and every time. And so that's Wi-Fi wireless access point placement. The same thing for in a job where, especially like you'll see a great case of this in a hospital. Uh, Up and down their hallways, they have wireless access points in the middle of the hallways, because each one of those uh, rows or floors of a hospital is concrete, um, stone, and so the signal can't really go from floor to floor. So you need to have access points up and down those hallways, and then you really have to have so many in that hallway because there could be concrete walls in between each room. And so in order to have a good signal in a hospital, they have to have a lot of access points, and you want them in certain spots so everyone in the building can have access to it, but you don't want them so much to the edges that someone can just sit in the parking lot and get access to the network. So we want to cut that off in some kind of way. So to give a better example of that, if you guys see here, and I'm not going to do anything to my router, all right? You look here in the lower right hand corner, you see all of these networks here. And these are all my neighbors, and these three are mine. All of these networks, I can potentially take something like is in Kali Linux. There's a application called AirCrack, and be able to get into their Wi-Fi network, and then now I should be able to see whatever's on that network. So to go back to your question, Ryan, if I'm willing to go all the way to Alabama and then take my laptop and go outside your house and then get onto your home Wi-Fi, I should be able to connect from my PC to your PC that way. But from South Carolina all the way to Alabama, it might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm not going to rule it out and say it's not.
Yeah, especially you could cheat, right?
Yeah, I believe you have to. That's it. Just to think about, if you want to keep it fair, then yeah, you wouldn't need so many security tools out here. But if we're gonna, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying type thing, then I'm going to do whatever I can, especially if you got the information on your computer that I want. I'm going to find out, okay, at least I can find out what cloud provider you use so I can try to get into your system that way. You know what I'm getting? You get what I'm saying? So it's just different ways that you can go about it instead of just thinking about it so straight up and down.
Oh
Okay, I
yeah,
got it.
I got the social engineering aspect of it. That's smart, honestly.
Gotcha. Um, okay. So that's Wi-Fi access point. So you want to make sure that it's put up in a nice, decent spot, get a nice connection, but at the same time, you don't want that to bleed over into the parking lot if it's possible. Um, Sometimes you might have to bite the bullet on it, and it may bleed out into the parking lot, but that's where we want other things to be set up, such as to be strong, encryption to be strong. Maybe we put up a welcome site or a kind of like an open portal to where you know how you go and you log into the Wi-Fi at a hotel and they send you to an open portal where they ask you to go ahead and accept the policies. You want to put the site surveys and heat maps. So those heat maps and surveys will help you understand areas such as a lot of wall, concrete, and then appliances around kitchens and ovens and stuff like that. It's probably going to be a bad degraded signal. Typically, we want or WPA2. You see or WPA2. You we didn't get to see this on mine because um, it jacked up my system. So I don't want to. I'm too cautious to show you again. But if you see it over here on the right hand side, this piece where you see 5 gigahertz, I'm sorry, you can see it up here where it says version at. That's WPA2 pre-shared key. So that's basically saying that we want to run a username and password. So that's pretty much having that type of encryption on that type of authentication that we're trying to get onto the network. WEP, weaker encryptions, but they are some cases for it. So WPS, a lot of times, and I don't know how many of you got experiences with printers. Has a button on there that has WPS written on it, and so if you look at your modem, the modern ones have